Today I'll be briefly touching on a book that I came across on Audible, read by the author herself, Jennette McCurdy, and which was a bestseller for quite a while when it came out. It's called I'm Glad My Mom Died. I don't know why I don't usually gravitate towards memoirs that are written by celebrities or public figures, but boy was I glad to have listened to this one because honestly, Jennette's honesty is just brutal but so refreshing at the same time in this purely unapologetic way. The themes of the book revolve around enmeshment, eating disorders, substance use, the dark side of the child acting business, then of course you have therapy and the road to recovery. The main subject matter of the book is obviously her relationship with her mother. Despite Jennette's extremely straightforward, direct, and very simple storytelling style, she excels at capturing the nuances of her very complicated relationship and how that has changed over the years. Jennette also incorporates dry humor into her style, which is obvious from the title of the book itself. But personally for me, I didn't feel like it took anything away from the gravity or the seriousness of the quite distressing subject matter. So she starts out the book recounting her memories of when she was a child, growing up in a Mormon family, being homeschooled, and basically being raised by her mom. As a family, they weren't really that well off financially, and in addition to that, Jennette's mother gets diagnosed with cancer when Jennette was 4. Of course, the way that Jennette builds up this picture is as is, true to real life, no judgment, no filter, just as if it were normal, matter of fact. The actual matter of fact is that her mother coddled her excessively in a way that hindered Jennette from living her life. The reason for that is that Jennette's mom actually wanted to be an actress, but because her parents didn't allow her to pursue this passion during her youth, she uses Jennette to vicariously live out that dream. On top of that, the family's financial standing makes it kind of inevitable or almost unquestionable for Jennette to pursue a career as a child actor at such a young age, thereby taking on the responsibility of being the youngest breadwinner of the family. As the story progresses, Jennette slowly reveals the almost shocking codependency of her relationship with her mom. Imagine up to the age of 16, Jennette was still being showered by her mother. Her mother also made her show up to auditions when Jennette was horribly sick with a really high fever, and in her words, she would make her chug down Gatorade to mask being sick. And of course, Jennette would do anything to please her. This she makes crystal clear in the book with so many examples. She even spells it out at times. The tiniest example would be like when Jennette would order an ice cream flavor that she doesn't like, but that which her mom likes, just to not upset her. And so she very meekly plays into those kind of manipulative ways of her mom, whom she accepts and adores, not knowing any better. And of course, she wants to avoid the guilt that she would definitely feel if she turned down her mom in any way, given her terminal illness and the imminence of her death. Jennette's tone is almost blasé when she reveals the inner secret dealings or the behind the scenes of the cutthroat showbiz world, especially for child actors. She's just so honest about it all. Again, it's just so refreshing. As Jennette gets older, though, she begins to gradually develop a sense of self-loathing through an awareness of how she doesn't feel aligned to what she's being forced to do, which is acting. And so she sort of catches glimpses and fantasizes about a life that's different from the one that she's living under the constant supervision and control of her mother. And yet she still represses that, and she still obeys her mother, even when she's taught to practice the method of calorie restriction, in other words, anorexia, in an effort to slow down her puberty. Naively, of course, Jennette thought that she found a lump when she really was just developing breasts at the time. And she didn't want that to happen because she wanted to stay small and act so that her mom is happy. This extremely toxic body dysmorphia, which her mom practically enabled, had the anorexia eventually morph into bulimia in her early adulthood, along with alcohol abuse, all of which become ways for Jennette to adapt to her mother's controlling ways. All the BS, the fakeness, the fame, all of that comes with that soul-sucking showbiz lifestyle. I also love the realism in how Jennette portrays the very, very almost snail-like gradual decline of her mother's health, having been diagnosed with cancer and being in remission for 15 years. One can only imagine how many false alarms there can be. So much so that when it was finally time for her mother to draw her last breath, it was almost anticlimactic in a sense. Nobody cried, I guess because they were just emotionally exhausted by that time. Sadly though, even after her mom's death, her influence continued to haunt Jennette. This was embodied in her highly addictive purging habits, thanks to her mother's voice that's internalized in her head, which is so relatable. And so she would binge purge, binge purge, binge purge. It was just a vicious cycle. And the time that she was coerced by her boyfriend into seeking therapy for the first time, it was so hard for her that she actually ghosted her therapist. That's also one of the most genuine things you just have to love about this book, is that she doesn't portray her recovery or her healing journey as a linear process. Many times she would admit to relapsing to old habits, where she would then have to start all over again. I think the beauty in that is the importance of giving yourself grace to acknowledge your setback before picking yourself back up again. I truly felt how incredibly difficult it is or could be for a person with an eating disorder to just give up their habits, because those habits get so programmed into them, like almost on a neurological level. It's no wonder that the path to full recovery is a very rocky one that requires immense support, patience, and just sticking it out and wanting to truly get better. The cherry on top of the cake for me, though, is that moment when, after having told her therapist about how her mother raised her, it slowly begins to dawn on her, obviously with the help of her therapist, that she has undergone physical, emotional, and mental abuse courtesy of her mother, who basically stripped her of her own desires and need for self-exploration and independence. At first, Jennette is heartbreakingly defensive of her mother, seeing nothing at all wrong with the way that she was raised, since, in her words, her mom just wanted the best for her and the family. But with time, she processes the horrifying, lasting effects of the way her abusive mother raised her, and paradoxically, along with mourning her death, she also nurses this growing resentment that solidifies into an inability to forgive her mother. Sad as it was, it all leads to her finding herself and doing what she feels called to do, that is, to quit acting and start writing, which is a happy ending that everyone wants to hear. All in all, a truly enjoyable and highly addictive read. I would totally recommend this book, and I would rate it a 5 out of 5 stars. Until next time, happy reading!